To this day, my friend and I still can't wrap our heads around what happened. My friend and I just got done eating dinner with my mom. She had recently broke up with her boyfriend of a year and needed to let her anger and sadness out. We left my house and decided to take a short drive to the lake in our town. We parked facing towards the lake in the spaces closest to it, allowing us to peer down the small hill that led to the dock. The parking lot was dim lit, and the road behind us had little to no traffic on it as it was around 11 p.m. in our small town. We sat in the parking lot for about 30 minutes talking about her breakup and what all went down. I was staring in my rear view mirror and suddenly became fixated on 2 cars entering. I was a little bit anxious at first, thinking it was the cops. It was past curfew, and we were not allowed to be there. It was very well known by the cops that high schoolers also used it as a hangout to smoke and drink. On top of all that, they also didn't have another damn thing to do. After watching the 2 cars further, it was only a 2013 red Charger and a 1993 Honda Accord. I pointed them out to my friend and laughed, a little bit unnerved about how it was most likely a drug deal. It wasn't uncommon to see these go down a lot in our town. We tried to continue our conversation, but I couldn't seem to keep my eyes off the 2 cars that showed up, parked only 15 to 20 feet away from us. My heart rate starts picking up as we watch a man get out of the red Charger. He was a white man, medium build, average height, bald head, and wearing all black clothes. Nobody emerged from the Honda Accord. We watched in silence as the man turned around, his eyes gazing at our car. He not too long after turned and started walking towards the road behind us, about 30 feet away from us. We were turned around in our seats, watching him walk away until he reached about halfway across the parking lot. My nerves calmed down, and I turned back to face my friend so we could start to resume our previous conversation. As soon as I did, there was a soft knock on my driver window where I was seated. I flipped around fast, appalled. The man we watched walk away from us is suddenly right at my window. I stared in shock at him, noticing how bright and piercing his blue eyes were. He held a smile on his face, but not a normal friendly smile. A smile that didn't fully show his teeth, his eyes looking at me slightly through his eyelashes. The most frightening part was this man had nothing behind his eyes. No emotions, no humanity. He hardly looked human. He knocked again. I look at my friend, frozen in fear on what to do. She was no help, also frozen. I rolled down the window very slightly, hardly a crack that not even a finger could poke through. Yes, I asked him, shaking in fear. Do you know what time it is? He asked, in a low, rough voice. I looked at the clock on my dash, 11:41. He stood there, smile still plastered on his face, not breaking eye contact, not blinking. Thank you. A man walked back around, staring at us as he went. My friend and I turned to each other, freaking out about what just happened. We watched the man walk down the hill towards the dock and focused our attention on the Honda Accord still parked. The car shifted to drive and slowly drove towards the exit, the driver continuously braking suddenly. They were parked beneath a light, only illuminating the shadow of the driver. They sat still, staring straight forward, not moving a muscle. We watched in silence for what felt like forever before the person finally drove off. Horrified at the experience, we decided to leave and started heading towards a park not too far away. We chalked the man up to a drug dealer, trying to check out if we were cops or even maybe a sex trafficker. We were totally unaware. What occurred at the lake was only the beginning of the night. The drive to the park didn't take us too long. When we parked, we drove to the very end of the parking lot, far away from the entrance. No other car in sight. We finally calmed ourselves down and tried to shake off the experience we just had. My friend continues telling me about her ex, getting more emotional as we spoke. After a while, we changed topics. The mood was still sad, but I was trying my best to lighten her up. As I looked at her, I suddenly saw a figure about 15 feet away from my car that appeared to be a man. However, you couldn't see anything but the stature. I pointed him out to my friend in shock, not being able to utter a single word. Her eyes wandered over to him, and as soon as she saw him, she is also silent in shock. You could clearly see his body moving up and down as if he was breathing erratically. Millions of thoughts raced through my mind as suddenly his body started twitching. The best way I can describe it is like in one of those possession horror movies. My friend started to laugh, but it wasn't a laugh at something funny. It was a scared laugh. That was the first time I had seen her scared. What is he doing? She asked. her voice trembling. I opened my mouth to answer, but before I could, the figure started sprinting at my car, full speed. A scream escaped my lips as I quickly went into my flight response. I threw my car into reverse and was swinging out of the parking spot. I then threw it into drive and sped as fast as I could to the exit. We sat at the exit, stopped and looked in my mirrors, no longer seeing the man, seeing absolutely nothing. We sat in silence before my friend asked, "Should we go back?" I'm not sure why I agreed. Something about that place just pulled us straight back in. I agreed and we drove back to our spot, looking around paranoid. Nobody was to be seen. About 5 minutes passed, and I stared out at the small slope of a hill that led to the parking lot. My friend suddenly gasped, pointing out a figure that looked as big as a toddler. "What is a baby doing out here all alone at midnight?" Before I could reply, we watched in shock as the toddler-sized person suddenly grew a couple of feet and became the man we saw earlier. What happened before happens again. He started twitching before sprinting at my car at full speed. We both let out screams of horror, reversing and driving away as fast as we could. We stopped in the middle of the parking lot, watching out of our mirrors as the man stopped running after us and just stood there, staring straight at us. This is the part where I still doubt myself. I can't believe we both saw this. Nothing can explain this. A man suddenly stepped sideways, and at the same time he did, another figure, identical, stepped the other way. They made no other movements, but to walk separate ways, both disappearing into the dark. My friend started crying, unsure of how to comprehend what we just saw. I shook in pure terror, unsure I should even drive, knowing I could focus on nothing but what we just saw. Before I could make that decision, though, we both hear clear as day a pair of heavy footsteps running towards the driver's side door. We both started screaming again, tears falling as we peeled out of the parking lot, getting as far away from that park as we could. The drive to her house was in complete silence, both of us unsure of what to say. We took the back roads, not wanting to drive on the highway after the experience we just had. "Are you okay?" she asked me, trembling. Before I could answer, I felt a finger graze the back of my neck and a water bottle in the back seat get kicked. "I'm not trying to freak you out," she whispered, but I just felt someone stroke my hair. My eyes cautiously wandered up to the rear view mirror, and I started having a panic attack as I saw a dark figure sitting in my back seat. She made me pull over to calm down, knowing that if I continued, we would crash. It took a total of 10 minutes before I was able to fully calm down, the man in the back gone. To this day, I am not sure what we witnessed, whether it was humans messing with us or a dark entity. All I know is that if that figure got to us, only sinister things would have happened.